Neville Goddard, The Power of Unlimited Imagination. The last chapter we did was Seeing God, which was known as chapter 4 here, known as chapter 5 here. We are going into the next chapter that's not included in this compilation of lectures from 1952 San Francisco, but is included in this compilation, which is the listing on Wikipedia. We're going to cover all the material. So we're doing the second chapter that's not included. It'll be the last one, but the numbering will shift around. It'll be in order in the playlist, but this is missing 2 chapters that exist in this book. So that's what we're just trying to bring it all together, not miss anything. Blessed are you. Chapter 6, All is Consciousness. Blessed are you when your mental comprehension has been enlarged by the removal of the trees of traditional wrong thinking. For only then will you know that all is consciousness and consciousness is all. You will know that any secondary cause is a tyrant. And if you believe in an outside power, you are fighting a losing battle. Emerson once said, man surrounds himself with the true image of himself as every spirit builds for itself a house beyond its house, a world beyond its world. Love that quote. Man surrounds himself with the true image of himself as every spirit builds for itself a house beyond its house, a world beyond its world. What you are, that only you can see. Therefore, build yourself a world as you would like it to be. A world beyond the world now visible to you. The world you desire exists and will unfold itself in great proportions when you, all spirit, surround yourself with the true image of yourself as you would like to be. Think of your world as a canvas with the pictures painted there by the arrangement of your mind. Your I amness, consciousness, of course, has already arranged as many patterns for your canvas as there are people walking the earth. Love it. As there are people walking the earth, I am all that is God right here. Self-concept, when you want to be, when you are, others, other people, ones you were before, ones you will be. Right now you're here. As many people walking the earth, self-concepts have been created. Think of your world as a canvas with the pictures painted there by the arrangement of your mind. Your I amness has already arranged as many patterns for your canvas as there are people walking the earth. In my Father's house are many mansions. All his works are done. Everything is there at your disposal. Its reality is up to you and the intensity of your desire. Always look to self, for your consciousness is the sole cause of the phenomena of your individual life. Perhaps you have imagined something which never came to pass and you feel that you failed. Don't do that. But perhaps you have, okay? But I tell you, there is only one cause for failure, and that is the substance of the feeling of naturalness. It takes time for an assumption to become a fact, and a desire is fulfilled when it takes time for an assumption to become a fact, and a desire is fulfilled proportionate to the degree of naturalness of the feeling of possession. If something does not feel natural to you, it is not your nature. To ask in my name is to ask in my nature or character. Therefore, when you ask, you must feel you already are that which you are seeking. Whatsoever you desire when you pray, believe you have received it and you will. It is important to feel yourself right into your wish fulfilled, for consciousness is the only reality. And everything you see is nothing more than an outpicturing of a state of consciousness. It is stupid to seek a thing before you establish its cause. It is stupid to seek a thing before you establish its cause. Out here is where you go seeking things in the world. You must establish its cause by becoming it, making a subjective impression, and then the expression happens. Make the impression. But when you go out here seeking, you go in the wrong direction. It's not wrong, literally, but it's wrong. It is stupid to seek a thing before you establish its cause. An effect depends upon a state of consciousness, and you cannot find the effect without being its cause. I used to laugh. My teacher used to use that word a lot, stupid, and I used to throw the joke right at her immediately. She would use the word stupid. I never really use it a whole lot because I don't like that as a crutch per se, to label someone else as or feel it myself as. I just never got into that word. But she would use it when she knew I didn't like it. And she was my teacher, right? So every time she used it, I would say, is that with 2 O's? S-T-O-O-P-I-D, all right? It is stupid to seek a thing before you establish its cause. Hey, it is a valid word. It's like it's ignorant also. An effect, and ignorance a good word. So why is it a good word? Because you get to fill in the gap. Once you know you're ignorant of something, you can go now have the opportunity to go find exactly what you're missing. I totally don't mind that word, ignorant, because it's like, oh, opportunity word. That means I get to go learn something. An effect depends upon a state of consciousness, and you cannot find the effect without being its cause. And if you do not feel the naturalness of the desired state, you cannot externalize it, for consciousness is very observable. Ask yourself how long you have been conscious of being what you want to be. How long have you been conscious of being what you want to be? To what extent do you feel its reality now? Matthew tells us, 0, you faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? I'm sure that means oh. I think it's typed as a 0, but it's actually an O. It's okay. Oh, you faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? Do you have faith in what you are conscious of? I hope so, for without faith it is impossible to achieve anything. It is the substance of the thing hoped for and the cause of all phenomena. The word perverse means to turn the wrong way without aim, fixity, or one-pointedness of purpose. When the latest headline or news bulletin can turn you away from your desire, you are perverse and fail. Be careful of your social devices, these little computers that we're all convinced to have within arm's reach, have wonderful little ways of getting the news to you another way. If you're not going to turn on that little box and see it, it's going to come through that device. Any headline of anything, when the latest headline or news bulletin can turn you away from your desire, you are perverse and fail. But if success is your goal, its mood must be worn until the feeling of being successful is so natural you cannot turn away from it. If success is your goal, you won't see those headlines. They won't be in your view at all. Have you ever seen a Ute, a young kid who has a basketball and he's playing with it and he's in the driveway every night after school and just playing, and you hear it, if it's in your neighborhood, you hear that ball bouncing and you just go, what the heck kind of focus is that? And he's just out there with complete determination to make that thing go into the hoop over and over and over. And there's that dedication and that focus, and there's no headlines disturbing that kind of focus. That's the kind of focus you need to have when your aim is to fulfill your desire, make the subjective impression, and express the new reality. That's the kind of focus you need to have. Make the ball in the hoop over and over and over. If you're starting from ground zero or you feel like you're behind the 8 ball, make little ones over and over and over. They all add up to the total impression. You don't have to be in this great epiphany. I'm making up words here. You don't have to be in this ultimate lounge of a hammock. I love hammocks. In the hammock, in the sun, and in the sun on the beach, in the tropics, having the beautiful visualization and feeling it real moment. That doesn't have to be. That's not practical reality. That's a nice vision. Don't get me wrong. You can actually imagine yourself into that. We'll talk about that more later. But for now, if you feel like you're not making your impression happen, there's plenty of opportunity for all these micro impressions. You can make a lot of micro impressions and they all add up. Every single thought is an impression. What are you thinking? What are you thinking now? All men are. I am. What are you thinking now? Fill in the blank. Change it if it's not what you want it to be. It's okay to have a habit. We're now changing the habit. I am. All men are. All women are. On the other hand, importunity means brazen impudence. If you will so persist in your assumption, your brazen impudence will not allow you to accept the evidence of your senses when they deny your assumption, but will arrange the substance called life into the pattern of your assumption. This world moves with the necessity of molding and manifesting the arrangement of the individual's mind. It is important to persist. It is important to persist until fulfillment becomes your nature. Changes begin to occur at their moment of naturalness. When does it all of a sudden feel natural? When does it feel natural that the remodel on your house is happening? When does it feel natural that you're going on that date that's with somebody who's going to be your life partner and you don't even know it yet? But it's starting to feel natural. This starts to feel, wow. I always joke, well, I joked in the beginning with my wife because it seemed like forever ago. And I remember telling her, I go, when I look at you, I can see you as an old lady. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah. So, I mean, it's either the future looking back and giving the impression, or it's the impression going forward for the expression. The expression's giving back an impression, or the expression's giving the impression the other way. Expression, impression, it goes back and forth. All time is now. Changes begin to occur at their moment of naturalness. Jacob told the Lord, I will not let you go until you bless me. As Jacob, you may wrestle through the night with an idea, and all ideas come down from heaven to take flesh. If you will not take no for an answer, but persist in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you will be blessed with its externalization. What kid doesn't know that when they ask their parents, can I have it? No. 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 Can I have it? Yes. What kid doesn't know that? If you will not take no for an answer, but persist in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you will be blessed with its externalization. Scripture tells of a man whose child was dead. Yet when he went to the man of God and asked that the child be made alive once more, it was done unto him. The man of God. The child is within you, dormant until you breathe life into it. But let's go on. Your ideal, be it for success, health, romance, money, or fame, is your child who is dead. Your ideal, be it for success, health, romance, money, or fame, is your child who is dead. But if you will believe in its life and walk in the assumption that you are successful, healthy, or wealthy, if that is your desire, your child which sleepeth will rise from the dead state and be made alive in your world. You will breathe life into your son, into your child. Your conscious and subconscious will wed and come together because that's your idea from the desire you received from him, from which is within and weaved into your self-concept, the desire. It comes from within you. You take that idea, that desire, you wed it with your subconscious, That's your consciousness, the desire. Conscious and subconscious come together in a perfect couple, wedding, union, communion. These come together and with conception, give birth to the Son. That's the new reality. How wonderful and simple is that? Is anything in here describing that you have to go out and pound stakes for the railroad all day? That you have to sweat? Is there anywhere in any of these chapters or videos that Neville said you must, by the sweat of your brow, do this, this, and this? Not one iota, not one word ever, except for to relax and feel. How hard is that? What kind of work is involved there? For some of us, it's very difficult because we don't know the habit yet. We haven't created the habit. So it can be difficult if you don't know the habit. We're taking a different form of habits we had into a new form of habits. We're taking the habits of looking in the world for answers and letting the world fill our subconscious with all of its wares and offerings, and then we just latch onto those. Then we look at the world, then we come back home, then we look at the world, and we come back home, and we never venture out. We never take the risk. It seems so safe to do this habit over and over. And this habit's like a freaking yo-yo. What are you gaining there? You're not getting the lesson. The lesson you're here to learn is to become in ascent, to take a path of righteousness. This is the ultimate lesson for him. You were sent by him to learn for him the path of righteousness. That will cause you to remember. The only way you're going to do this consciously, this law, is to be aware of the path of righteousness and the law of assumption, to be aware of them almost literally and mechanically as we're discussing them. It's psychological, but it's also kind of mechanical. It's very neat in its breakdown. I guess I'm mechanical, and that's why I take this path here to show it. It's kind of a mechanical look, two-dimensional, but still. It's kind of a process to kind of flesh it out. But it's not work. Once we learn it, we apply it, we see successes happen, we realize this isn't work at all. This is extra time in the morning to stay in bed and imagine lovingly. This is extra time before bed to imagine lovingly. This is before my nap and after my nap. This is in the shower. This is on the toilet. This is now while I'm driving. This is now, when do you want it to be? I mean, we're going to get into revision, but there was a moment when I first learned of revision. Okay, so I'm in my 4th year now of Neville, of hardcore learning Neville, and when I'm a student of something, I go all in. The very first couple months, I was learning about revision, and it blew me away. The first experience I had that taught me that it's very effective was I went to go golfing with some friends, and there was a bunch of chatter. We were waiting for to tee off. There was a bunch of chatter. It was like 2 or 3 golf carts of us. I mean, no, there was 4 or 5 golf carts at least. We all had our own at this point. Long story short, excuse me, somebody had broken into a car in the parking lot and like shattered the window and took someone's clubs or something. Some passerby or something robbed a car. So there was a lot of discussion going on about it being unsafe around there. And I immediately revised the conversation. I revised it to hear talk of other things and that it was safe and it was no worries. Right when I did the revision in real time to the current active live conversation, all the people talking about it, it was like it just evaporated. The subject evaporated. It never came back the rest of the night. Mind-blowing. Because it threw me back because I was like, wait a minute, this actually works. So I started practicing. When somebody's talking and they're saying something I don't want to be hearing. And I'm giving a massive commercial for revision. We're going to get deep into it. It's a wonderful subject. But as someone's talking and they're saying something that you don't want to hear, you're using the disciplines of the mind. And you're not hearing what they're saying, but then you begin to develop what they are saying. What they are saying, that's helping you get to your desired goal because they're giving you a blessing. You're now hearing a blessing come out of their words, not what the critical, judgmental attitude is coming out of the words. You're hearing the blessing because you're revising. The Pruning Shears of Revision. Look up that lecture. Very good lecture. Okay. The parable is told of a judge who, it is said, feared not God nor regarded man. Within you there is such a judge who will give you anything you ask for if you will be just as persistent as the widow in the story. Coming at the midnight hour, excuse me, she persisted in her request until the judge granted her wishes, saying, "Because this widow bothers me, I will vindicate her, and she will wear me out, or she will wear me out by her continual coming." When the light of consciousness is not shining on your fulfilled desire, it is the midnight hour. But if you will fill your desire with your light of awareness and persist, then that which you are aware of, you will become. Are you hearing the word persistent here enough times? You are forever surrounding yourself with the true image of yourself and what you are. That only you can see, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. Observe your reactions to life, and you are observing the being you want to separate yourself from. Observe your reactions to life, and you are observing the being you want to separate yourself from. And as you begin to identify yourself with your chosen state, the separation takes place. Detachment. But your assumption must be a maintained attitude, and if for a moment you lose the mood, recapture it. And if you lose it again, feel yourself back into the feeling until the mood becomes so natural, your thinking from that mood is normal. The great failure of most truth students is that they are perpetually constructing but deferring their occupancy. Perpetually constructing, they see, they imagine, but they defer the occupancy because they never make the impression. They take the distractions of the world and they let those become the impression. They don't take occupancy by making the impression themselves. When entering your desired state, feel its presence surround you like an answered prayer. Then become so one with the state that your thoughts flow from it. Persist in viewing your world from that state, and it will harden into fact. You and you alone determine the time for the state to externalize itself. If your mind is so disciplined that it cannot be turned or diverted, your heart's desire will be outpictured on your screen of space. But if you believe in any secondary power, your belief will cause its delay. Secondary power out here. Your awareness is the power of the word. It is divine, not divisional. Divisional means out here. You here, out here. That means divided. There are not two I ams, but one I am standing on many levels. Desire, claiming fulfillment now, wrestles as Jacob. But when the fight is over, as Israel is born. You may think your name is John Brown or Mary Smith, but your real name is I am. And your dominant mood is your nature. Divorce a mood and assume a new nature. Persist in your new relationship, and you will bear its children. As new phenomena appear to bear witness to your creative inner I amness. Bearing its children. This is where your son and children are born as your new reality. You bring the conception together with your Mary, your womb. Only if you lack importunity and constantly return to the mood, you are attempting to divorce yourself Only if you lack importunity and constantly return to the mood you are attempting to divorce yourself from, will failure occur. Desire is hidden identity. Desire is a hidden identity within yourself because you're going to become that identity if you make the subjective impression. What you want, you already have. For you acknowledge as fact that you are already what you desire to be and will not be diverted but maintain your importunity by walking in the mood of fulfillment, which now dominates you. No power on earth can keep you from expressing it. Nothing can. Nothing can stop that wave that wave that you push into existence when you make the subjective impression. You are the ocean pushing this wave of creation. You are doing that. It's amazing the power you have. But you must feel yourself right into the situation of the answered prayer. For only by believing that you already have it will it appear. Anyone who prays successfully himself, anyone who prays successfully is himself the springboard of action and the one who grants the prayer. You are the one who grants the prayer. There is no other being to grant it. The one who receives the answered prayer is the one who grants it through the act of rearranging the mind. Learn to rearrange your mind, and if you find yourself walking in the field of unanswered prayers, turn around and walk in the field of fulfillment, field being mood. And remember, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The only reality and the only substance is consciousness, from which all prayer has its beginning and its end. The entire book of Hebrews is devoted to faith. Faith is enduring as seeing him who is invisible. And faith is the substance of things hoped for. Unto us was this good news preached as well as unto them, but it did not profit them because it was not mixed with faith. Good news is desire fulfilled. If desire is not mixed with faith, it is of no avail, for faith is the awareness of the reality of the desire's fulfillment. You see, creation is finished, and we only become aware of increasing portions of it. The absence of faith would be to deny the reality of the state assumed. If you limit yourself to your physical senses, which contradict everything you desire, then faith will be unknown to you. But faith will make real that which is invisible. The being you would like to be, though invisible, will unveil itself and become visible for all to see when you walk in the faith of its reality. Wow. That was known as chapter 6 in this book. All is consciousness. What a great chapter. I can really see the stitching. I can see the seams of how this was put together. I can't wait to cover some lectures. It's going to be great. But you can see when it's just Neville, either in written form or in spoken form. So I can see some of the stitches in here, but it's still good. It's still greatness. All is consciousness. Wow, what an amazing, amazing chapter. I like this piece here. Scripture tells of a man whose child was dead. Yet when he went to the man of God and asked that the child be made alive once more, it was done unto him. The man of God's here tells of a man who had a child who was dead. That was right here. This child's dead because this man's not making the impression. So this man's not making the impression. He goes to see God. He goes to a man. He went to a man of God. That's I am. Asked that the child be made alive once more. And it was done unto him. He made the impression. This man with the dead child, the dormant child, he made the impression. Made alive once more, it was done unto him. You see how these parables work? They're not literal. They sound literal. Sounds like a wonderful story. Many movies have been made of a lot of pieces, right? But it's parable. It's not history. Okay, wonderful, wonderful chapter. That'll be the last out of that book. When we arrive back at the other book, I think we'll be on the same chapter number. Again, the videos will be in the proper order. We'll see you in the next chapter.